Today we will begin our study of Social Studies Chapter 2, which is called The Stone Ages and Early Cultures. We're going to begin with Lesson 1 today, which is the first people. Now there are a lot of different theories out there concerning this. So since we're a public school, a state-run school, we have to stick with what is most commonly accepted by most scientists in the world. So not everyone believes this, again, but this is what has to be taught. It's okay if you don't believe it, that's fine, but you need to know what all's out there, I think. So it's not going to hurt you to learn it, even if you don't believe it. If you do, great. All right, so the big idea, prehistoric people learned to adapt to their environment, to make simple tools, to use fire, and to use language. The main ideas, scientists study the remains of early humans to learn about prehistory. Stone Age tools grew more complex as time passed. And hunter-gatherer societies developed language, art, and religion. And I will attach these videos to your lesson for you to watch. So to study prehistory, and prehistory is the time before writing. Historians rely on the work of archaeologists and anthropologists. So this is where our science and our social studies kind of go hand in hand. But the key thing here is prehistory is before writing. So we have nothing written down. So we are going off of theory. Some people call it fact. For example, Bill Nye, as I stated before, he strongly believes in the theory of evolution. So he treats it as fact. All right, so according to this theory, early hominid sites were discovered in Africa. And there's a little bit more of this information in your books. One of the skeletal remains that was found, they named Lucy. And they say that this was an early hominid, which means early form of human, that lived more than 3 million years ago. Now, again, no one knows for sure. There was no writing. We don't know. So this is based on findings of archaeologists and anthropologists. So based on this, we call this the Stone Age. And there are different eras, E-R-A, eras in the Stone Age. The first of which is called the Paleolithic era. I like to think of that as going along with prehistory and Paleolithic, so I can remember it. They both begin with a P. So with this theory, the first humans and their ancestors lived during this time called the Stone Age. And the first part of the Stone Age, as I said, is the Paleolithic era. And this is during the time where people used stone tools. So they're saying that the humans during this time were very primitive. And of course, a tool is a handheld object that has been modified to help a person accomplish a task. So the earliest tools that they have dated, they say go back to approximately 2.6 million years ago. And again, these were found in East Africa. Each stone was hit with another, they think, to create a sharp edge. So thereby they could fashion it into some sort of like a knife that we have today. One unsharpened side could be used as the handle, and the other, of course, to cut and to grind food. And this is what scientists think. We don't know. Some later tools that they have found, they started making their tools out of flint. And then people learned how to attach wooden handles to those tools. And most importantly here, they say that because the people no longer had to stand next to the animals that they were hunting, that people were able to kill larger animals from a distance away. So their likelihood of surviving, their chances would have gone up. So hunter-gatherer societies. They say during this time in history, language, art, and religion was developed. Early humans formed societies. And we now know, and as we get into each civilization, you will see, based on fact, that these were formed around rivers because they needed fresh water. So these hunter-gatherers, that's exactly what you think it means. They traveled. They were nomads. So they were nomadic people. They traveled around, they hunted, and they gathered their food. Therefore, hunter-gatherers. So they didn't settle down along those rivers till a little bit later on. But the most important development, they say, during this time, the early Stone Age culture, was that of language. And according to this theory, it wouldn't be the language like we speak today. It would be more of grunting sounds. You've probably seen cartoons where they have cavemen. Okay, this would be that era of prehistory that this theory would be talking about. So a society is a community of people who share a common culture. Cavemen, of course, lived in caves. Now, whether or not they were what is depicted in the cartoons, I don't know. I believe that there were people who lived in caves. There are still people today who live in caves, but I'm not real sure if I believe in the whole caveman theory. But that's just my belief. Hunter-gatherers, again, they hunted animals. They gathered plants and seeds in order to survive. So I like to say, deer go there, I go there. So just a simple form of language. They traveled to hunt their food. They developed cultures with language, religion, and art again. So this allowed more relationships to form, made it easier to hunt, and it also allowed for food distribution. Here are some cave paintings that they've dated back, they say, to thousands of years ago. And no one knows for sure why people created cave paintings, but many historians think that they were somehow related to hunting. And that makes sense if you really study the picture, the cave painting. In our next lesson, we are going to talk about early human migration.